Resident game killer Jeff Keighley just announced Horizon Hunters Gathering. Will it share the same fate as Highguard? Check it out.
Move on, let's talk some video games. Did you guys see the announcement for Horizon Hunter Gathering?
I did.
Game of the year.
Yeah? Vera, what'd you think of this thing? By the way, Jeff Keighley
it's given Highguard a run of its money. I mean, every time Jeff Keighley shares a trailer for something, you know it's going to be a disaster. Like when Jeff Keighley is the one who's promoting it, it's over.
Does that tell you what you need to know about Jeff, though? Like, is it a curse of Jeff Keighley and just maybe his like of games? Because he was so big on Highguard. And for this, like, if I'm this game, I do not want Jeff Keighley promoting it coming off of Highguard. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think it's too late. I think it's a lot of these conditions for him to be promoting things have been in the pipeline for a while. He's got contracts for a long time, and I'm sure to some extent he's already working on, you know, the summer game show and all that. His name is like kind of mud right now with gamers, which is extremely interesting to see how this all plays out. And like having this be another Concord type situation, I think we're really looking at a situation where the terms of promoting games could radically change. I think like what we're looking at now is the greatest opening. Is there's a hole in the armor here. So when you look at like the real game awards, now there's like real opportunity to break through, because the mainstream, the way that everybody rejected Highguard, the mainstream way of promotion is dead.
Yeah.
What does that look like moving ahead? Like how if Jeff Keighley's not out there promoting, I mean, like people watch Jeff's show because of the premieres. It's, by the way, side note, when I saw this, right, this shot right here, let me when I get to come back to that point in just a second. I saw this shot right here, and I thought they really gave her some cans, but it's just her arm. I thought this was a cleavage.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It. Yep.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, did they actually do that to the character? And then no, they did not.
So I think a big problem is not necessarily even that Jeff Keighley is just being paid to promote these games. Obviously, I think that on the official like Game Awards account and at the event, he is getting paid. But I think that he does truly believe that these games are going to be massively successful. And so it's going to look like a big win for him because he's the one that's primarily promoting it. And I think that it just boils down to him being so completely out of touch with gamers and the gaming audience.
So what we're going to see here, and this is why I was referencing something like the Real Game Awards, what's going to end up happening, or what needs to happen, is you need to get some kind of, you know, not Ubisoft, not Microsoft, you need to get some upper, higher end AA game to make their announcement with a content creator, with somebody that's in the know, that covers gaming. And maybe it's, you know, maybe it's somebody, maybe it's a Markiplier, right? Maybe it's somebody else, but you need a AA, upper higher end AA game to make their announcement with another creator, and that will be the proof that the main model that Keighley has presented is broken.
Jeff is certainly the go-to right now when it comes to these things, and you're right. There are contracts tied to all this stuff, but you said this is there's contracts tied to this, and my thought is like, yeah. You can renege on those things. You can be like, yo, how about we just space out the timing a little bit? By the way, Highguard just dropped like 2 weeks ago, and not the best look right now. So speaking of Highguard, I don't know if you guys have seen, you want to play the over-under on how many people are playing Highguard right now?
I was curious to see how that's doing, actually.
You guys want to make any guesses?
3,000.
Okay.
Whatever
I'm very
Phoenix
bad at
says
this.
plus one.
Yeah, I'm very bad at this. Can you guys tell me like what is a decent average for these kind of games? What's a good number of people?
Well, for a game like Highguard, you would need between, I would say 2 weeks after launch, you're probably hoping for 30 to 50,000 people playing.
30 to 50,000. Okay.
I think good context to give Phoenix here is that in 24 hours the game lost 80% of its player base.
Right.
And it's been 2 weeks now.
Yeah. So right now there are currently
5,000.
There are less than 4,000 people playing it right now. And you can see it started here. Remember, this is the day that we were talking about it on the show. I think, Vera, you were here, right? Were you here when Highguard launched? Was this 2 weeks ago
I don't
now?
remember. I think
No, I
so.
think Var was like on like the Friday before it launched.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
So we were talking about this, and I was like, well, it'll probably go up. It'll probably cap out around 150,000. And I was totally wrong. And where you saw it did the exact opposite of what I thought it was going to do. Because generally the idea is, in the morning, you have the first adopters, and then in the afternoon, all the guys with jobs, they get off their job and they go, okay, I'm going to check out this game. Well, word of mouth traveled so quickly that the player count just dropped off so dramatically right here. And, you can see it's just been a slow trickle. I said the game would be dead. I still think I don't know how this game is alive at this point. They're just going to pack it up and let it go pretty quick. But
yeah, I think that they
thing.
just want to try to keep it around for as long as possible because they think that we have seen a increase in the amount of studios that put out a game that is not in the best state, but then they put years of effort into it and then they try to change public perception on them, like what happened with No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk. But I obviously don't think that that's going to work here. And like you were mentioning before about Jeff Keighley, I don't think that the industry has really changed at all. And Jeff Keighley is still on top. He's the safe option for companies. And so they want to keep marketing their game with him because they know that he's not controversial. And they know that, well, he represents our modern values. And,
Yes.
I don't think they're going to shift away from Keighley anytime soon.
Yeah, the big dogs, no. I don't think the big dogs are going to shift at all.
I don't think anybody is, as long as he's the one that's still running these large events.
I think when we say industry, that's them, and then there's the gamers. They're not the industry.
But
So
ultimately, there are still so many AA companies that would still love an opportunity at the Game Awards because they just view it as a chance to show off their game. So that's what makes it tough.
Until Highguard shuts down. I think Highguard shutting down is going to be another. It's just the first of many dominoes. This is just one step in a long play of eventually the best avenue to promote your game is going to be getting a Markiplier versus getting Jeff Keighley, or it's better to get somebody else in the streamer sphere on Twitch to announce your game. Then the biggest one, oh man, you want to see the things have changed? Have Asmongold and announce your game. Like that will be that you'll know it's over. But this is the first of many dominoes. When Highguard shuts down, we don't know how much Highguard costs. We don't know how much it costs to keep up. If I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we know because I would love to know what the numbers are. This can't be cheap. It's got to be expensive to keep this game online, and to be losing players at the rapid rate you are. The reason for that is because of the way they announced it, and the company has been clear. We wanted to shadow drop this, and if they had shadow dropped it, the expectations would have been okay. We would have been looking at this as an underdog game, but instead they tried to go the conventional industry route, and it bit them in the ass so bad. It's going to cost, well, we don't know how much, but millions of dollars when this is all said and done.
I don't know if I fully agree with that, though, because I do think that the public perception of the game would be wildly different if they did shadow drop it. 100% agree with you there. But the 97,000 people wouldn't have played it because at least 50,000 of those people, probably more, only played it because they saw the shitstorm that happened at the Game Awards. They were like, oh, it's been several weeks since these developers have been silent. What have they been doing in this time? And a big reason why it even got that high was because people wanted to judge it for themselves, and they were curious to see what it was. So I think that it would have topped out at like 20,000 people, and I don't know if that would be considered an underdog game though, coming from Apex and Titanfall creators.
The way it was
it doesn't matter. It would have been the other way around. The conversation would have been, look at this game over here. Hey, we've been playing this game over here, instead of, we played this game over here. They tried to be the final announcement at the Game Awards. The changing of that conversation, the positioning there would have been totally different.
I don't think that anybody would have talked about Highguard at all. I think it would have came out. It would have been.
I think people would have called it modern audience slop, but then they would have moved on like in a couple of days.
Yeah, and to further through this, like this idea that it's not just nobody playing the game. There's no interest in this game. You go to Twitch and you look at the discovery around here, and you scroll out. Remember, they launched and they dropped the 5v5 mode. That was supposed to bring people in, right? You got to keep on. Look how far you got to scroll down on Twitch to find it in the directory here, all the way down here. Right now, there are less than 3,000 viewers of Highguard watching that. To put that in perspective, we have almost more people watching our show on YouTube and between our syndicated audience right now watching us than Highguard. That's fucking sad, right? Like, and I sure wish we had $1 million placement at the end of the Game Awards to promote side scrollers, right? So, and going back to that idea of, remember, they said they were launching their 5v5 mode, right? What happened? Nothing.
Yeah, because the game just isn't good. That's the thing. Is it's not like, oh, it's just got bad character designs, but the gameplay's amazing, or oh, it innovates. No, it copies every single game, and it's still a bad game because it does all the systems so poorly.
Yeah, I guess I'm not saying it would have been dramatically different, but I think of like No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky launch had tons of problems. They lied about a lot of stuff, but then they were able to build themselves up behind that, and they overcame that. I'm not saying Highguard could have done that.
That was like one player experience, though. That's the only thing. Like, these are what do you call these game service things? Like,
they said they had money. Like, they said they had enough money to keep them going for a little while.
Well,
but that's only if they were continuing to grow in player base, which they are not, and they've lost 90% of their audience now.
Well,
I'm just saying. All I'm saying is, if they played it the other way around, it would have been better.
Well, the problem with that, though, is that No Man's Sky launched at $50, right? Or $60, whereas this is free. So they made no money up front on Highguard, where No Man's Sky could, stay afloat for a year or two to try to turn things around because they made millions and millions and millions of dollars up front.
I'm curious, in retrospect, if this game, let's just say Wildlight, that's the company that did the game, Wildlight Entertainment. If instead of saying, hey, introducing Highguard coming soon, if they had introduced it and said, this is Highguard, play it now. I don't know if the reception would have been there, but I think you would have seen exponentially more people at least give it a try right off the bat. It would, the 100,000 people that played it. I just go back to the decision making for the company. I mean, I understand if you have an opportunity to get a game out or at least promote a game on the Game Awards, apparently for free, you take that, right? But that decision ultimately, and with Jeff being tied to it, has been the biggest issue with the launch. Yes, the game is the most generic game I've ever played in my life, but they didn't do themselves any favors by taking up that favor, I guess. And that, I don't know.
Craig, are you saying that it would have helped them with the same idea that there's one more thing and now play it now? Or you're saying that it was part of the show at some point and then they said,
no. I'm saying that they would have had a higher player count for sure. Right. What was it? It was about 6 weeks between 4 weeks or so between the, whatever it was, 8 weeks or whatever.
It's like about a month or so. Yeah.
Right. They certainly would have seen a bigger pop of player counts. And I think, honestly, I don't think it would have helped because the game is the game,
I think it was the one more thing that really bit them in the ass.
Yeah, but if the one more thing was, hey, here's this game and you can play it now, I think that actually adds a little bit more value.
But he oversold it. It underdelivered.
Oh, yeah.
He overhyped it with what he was saying, and then the first shot we get is a big mountain that looks like the last time we saw Elder Scrolls. You overhyped this the wrong way, buddy, and then it transitions into, oh my gosh, it's just more modern audience slop.
Right.
So it was Jeff Keighley killed this game, and that's how people will remember it.
I agree. People will put that game with Jeff Keighley, and when you look at the Venn diagram, that's a big old cross section right there.
When has one more thing ever not been the best thing of an evening in anything, right? Like, it's always the best thing. So the fact that you gave it that spotlight to say this is essentially the best thing killed it. I think if you put it during the show and then just said, and play it now, you would have gotten a little bit of momentum, and it didn't have the hype of having to live up to fucking Star Warsian levels of hype. You would have had, I think, a better shot then, maybe. I think it would have just faded into obscurity because everyone says it's the worst game ever. So I guess it just would have faded. But
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been the
bad.
only
meme.
because their expectations were set so high. It's only the worst because you're comparing it to what you were told it was going to be. Like, this is absolutely terrible marketing. It
I
could
don't
have
think
launched
it's
and
the
it could have
worst
been
game ever.
mediocre, but it's not the worst game ever.
No.
It's just mid.
Yep.
Yeah. It's mid. It is mid. Yes.
As the kids like to say, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Blabs. Do you know that if you subscribe, you won't go bald? Just kidding. You actually probably will.